consume in a year? Now, I know we weigh a bit less than our brethren, but this is a hard one.
50 pounds just on Taco Tuesday.
How many? Yes?
5.
No.
A year.
3.
No.
A year.
10.
There's
52.
in a year.
52.
No.
20 people.
Very close.
18.
I'm going to give you that, actually.
Rogaine or iceberg?
It's it's 22. So we eat 22 pounds. Actually, Lisa, since you're already a member at McKee, I'm going to give you a copy of my book for your trip. All right? Right. So Lisa won a copy of my book because she's going to need it. She's got a trip coming up. All right. So yeah. Protein. You'll be told that you're not getting enough protein. And we're kind of brainwashed as a nation to believe that we need to eat lots of protein, or specifically lots of animal protein. And I'm not going to do this one as a pop quiz, I promise. 90% of the world's population derives its protein from plant-based sources. 90%. That's 9 out of 10 people that walk this earth exactly the same way as we do. 90%. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to give you something to mull over now, right? This is something really serious to mull over. While I do my next pop quiz, because you knew there had to be another pop quiz in there, right? Next pop quiz. What? And this one's hard. I've only once had someone get this one right. What food has the highest amount of protein per calorie? Yes?
Edamame.
No.
I was going to say soybeans.
No.
Peppers.
Nuts.
No.
Pig.
No.
Cacao.
No.
Lentils.
No.
Chickpeas.
It's hard. This one's hard.
Eggs. Broccoli.
No.
Did you say what beans? What beans?
No. What vegetable? Think a little outside the box.
Sweet potatoes.
No.
Asparagus.
No.
Brussels sprouts.
No. Really think outside the box on this one.
Spinach.
No. No.
Beans.
Cabbage.
No.
Cashew.
No.
Greens.
No. Think outside the box. Maybe even think outside. No. Maybe don't even think of. I'm giving you a clue. Maybe don't even think about land.
Seaweed.
All right. You have to share these because you've got 2 prizes. Seaweed snacks. There you go. That's nice. So, ladies and 2 gentlemen. So the next thing that today's say. Oh, I should just quickly show you this. Protein, 4 ounces of ground beef. It's the same amount of protein as 4 ounces of black beans. Actually, someone doesn't know how to convert from metric to imperial because that's really an ounce, but whatever. But the point is, you get fiber from the black beans and you get far fewer calories. So the other thing that people are going to tell you is that you're not going to get enough nutrients on a plant-based diet. My response to that is that the person that's telling you that you're not going to get enough nutrients or enough protein is probably not eating enough vegetables. Nobody's really getting enough nutrients from their diet nowadays. It's a sad state of affairs but for most of us, some level of supplementation is necessary. B12 is really important if you're not eating enough meat products, and vitamin D. And if Michael doesn't mind me quoting him and me, Michael eats meat. He got a B12 deficiency this year, and he eats meat. And I don't go out in the sun because of my fair English skin, and I actually ended up with a vitamin D deficiency this year. So, everybody needs to take something. Talk to your doctor. That's the one thing I always say about supplementation. Get tested and see what your doctor says. Definitely don't trust the salesperson in the store unless you really know them well, because that happened with us. The doctor told Michael to have 1,000 units of B12, and the guy's like, no, that's not going to do anything. Take 5,000. So we did. We took it. And next thing you know, he gets retested, and his level's too high. Your doctor should know what he or she is doing.
That's only vitamin B, so.
Yeah, she's 12.
No.
All right, so the other thing that people are going to tell you, these naysayers, is that vegetables are boring. We had a case this week, didn't we, Warren? You posted on Facebook that you'd done a video review of plant-based food at our restaurant, and one of his friends said, oh, steamed broccoli. I won't repeat what I said, because it was a little bit unladylike, but colourful. But I felt it doesn't even warrant discussion. There's so much you can do with vegetables, and talk to me about that later, and we'll get into it. We are going to get into it when we do the house. Calcium. And I love it when people say you won't get enough calcium. Gorillas, giraffes, elephants, all these animals with big bones are getting enough calcium, and they're all vegan. So there are plenty of non-dairy sources, which aren't the best and most easily digested sources of calcium anyway. This is my least favourite slide, I'm sorry, but it just gives you some ideas of food that are high in calcium. And then the other one, of course, is that vegetables are expensive. Admittedly, vegetable farmers don't get the subsidies that meat and dairy farmers do, but you can go and buy a box of vegetables for way less than it's going to cost you for a box of processed food and animal products. Organic, obviously a little more expensive, but have you heard of the EWG, the Environmental Working Group? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they publish a list, which I have apparently lost now. Here it is. You can go on their website. And they have their list of pesticides in produce. So they've got the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Now the vegetables on the Clean 15, some of them have skins, like avocados. You don't have to buy organic. If it's something like a banana or an avocado, it's got a nice thick skin, it's got some kind of protection. So I really recommend pulling this up.
What was it called?
It's the EW. Oh, I'll pass it around. Why don't you do that?
It changes every year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It changes every year.
Yeah. And it used to be that it was a Clean Dozen, wasn't it? But now it's 15.
Yeah.
The clean.
Another one, and this is something that's actually said to me yesterday, is that a vegan diet is too high in carbohydrate. That can happen, actually, if you're not really careful. And I nearly did it myself this week. We were filming at Cilantro with Warren, and Scott Bristow was there, and I've made this veggie burger. It was an Indian samosa burger that I took the filling of a samosa and turned it into a burger. And Scott goes, "Where's the protein?" I'm like, because I realised that it had a potato base, and then I'm thinking, gosh, and then I'm going to put it on a bun. So I forgot my own rule, and I have a rule, and that is that every meal we look for FFP. Fat, fibre and protein. Every single meal. Those are the three components that you want to see there. Good fats, obviously, quality carbohydrate, preferably from whole grains or legumes, and what was the other one? Protein, which again you can get in your beans and from many other sources. So I've talked a bit about the why. Now let's look at the how. Because at the end of the day, I'm all about the food. And like any change that you're going to make, obviously small steps are the way to go. I was recently trying to make some changes in my own life and got my journal out and I put down the 3 things I was going to do that week, and then finally realised that 3 is just way too many for me to handle. And so now I only allow myself to do 1 thing each week, and when I've mastered that, then I can move on to the next step, and that way I don't feel like a failure. Only 1/3 of people who switch to a plant-based diet do it all at once. So don't set yourself up for failure. Think gradual change. It doesn't have to be that difficult. I've talked about cutting out dairy. That will depend how addicted you are to cheese, because cheese is addictive.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, one thing I'll say that, this is just kind of an aside. This is like somebody, you know, foreigner looking in, as it were, because everybody always forgets I'm an immigrant. I am an immigrant. I was really amazed when I came to this country at how often cheese is served before a meal, because in Europe we just don't do that. It's unheard of. That you go to someone's house and they put out this whopping huge plate of cheese and crackers, and you're expected to eat that before your meal, but then when the meal came out, you'll be completely full. Whereas in Europe we'll do it after a meal, and just a small amount, and quite often even eaten with a knife and fork or a piece of cheese. So, you know, that's just something to consider if you're eating a lot of dairy and you want that glowing skin and you want to make a change. Maybe consider flip-flopping and having the dairy at the end of your meal, like we do. Meatless Monday, I mean, this is, you know, everybody's heard of Meatless Monday, right? But it's such an easy way to just sort of pick, you know, if you're not into alliteration, there's no reason why you shouldn't do Meatless Wednesday or Meatless Thursday. But just picking one day where you feel that you can actually get meat out of your diet and feel the benefits, at least for a day. Think of it as a day of detox even, if, you know, 1 day a week. The other easy to follow program is one that, what's his name? Mark Bittman. He does VB6. That is vegan before 6 p.m. And he switched for health reasons, and he's written a couple of books about, he's actually got a VB6 cookbook. I've stolen a couple of recipes out of it. And so from when he gets up until 6 p.m. or whenever he has dinner, he eats vegan. So again, another small change that you can make there. Crowding out. Crowding out's a great concept for any plan to eat more healthily. So crowding out is where you eat what you would normally eat, you put what you would normally have on your plate, but then you crowd it out with extra vegetables. And then over time you start to eat more vegetables, and the stuff that you're trying to phase out will become a smaller and smaller portion. Also, well, this is an important one. Cut out the foods that harm the most animals first. So 95% of our animal consumption, I was quite surprised that it's this high, is from chicken, and that's including eggs. Chicken and fish, 95%. And it sort of made me laugh, because I read it and I thought, okay, so we cut those out first, I get it, but then I meet people who say, well, I don't eat meat, I just eat chicken and fish. That's not being vegetarian or vegan. It's not. So think about that. If you want to be kinder to the animals, cut out the ones that were hurting the most. Improve the quality of your animal protein. And this was a change that I started doing years ago. By investing in grass-fed meat. Now, at the time, buying it at the farmer's market, you know, it's $8.99 for a pound of ground beef. Nowadays, you can even find good quality organic at places like Walmart and Sam's for about $5.99 a pound. Public, you can tell I do our food costs. I can tell you the price of onions anywhere in this town. And Publix is somewhere between $7 and $9 a pound. And people say, oh my God, why are you paying $8.99 a pound for ground beef? Well, I'd pay that if I went out for a burger. And I'm getting much better quality meat. So focus on the quality. Maybe don't have as much of it, but try and keep it organic and grass-fed as much as you can as you slowly make the transition. Well, that might be your transition, but we'll get to that. Also, I like this one. I'm just finishing up the Forks Over Knives plant-based cooking certification, and it's been really great fun. And they're really big into, thank you, they're really big into batch cooking. And plant-based foods lend themselves so beautifully to batch cooking. I know you can say, okay, right, we'll take a chicken and boil it up, and then you've got stock, and then you've got the rest of the meat for salad, or make chicken pot pie, whatever. I get it. But just investing a little of your time, maybe on a Sunday, while you're doing something else, for goodness sake, please make sure you use a timer so that you don't burn any pans. She says, looking at the guy that has burnt about 3 pans making his own balsamic glaze. Use a timer. But seriously, you could cook up a couple of batches of grains and a batch of legumes while you're doing something else. And then you've got basic ingredients that you can use for the rest of the week. Whether it's you want to put them in a salad, you can, if you've done a legume or a bean, you can make burgers, soups. I mean, there's so much you can do. And they will keep grains. I learned on my course, I'm feeling so proud that I've actually retained something. Grains keep for 5 days, and that's because of their moisture. But typically most foods are 7 days refrigerated. So that's batch cooking. Oh, I wrote fake meat. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not really big on the pseudo meats. I did try one once, and it was just kind of full of soy, whatever. But for some people, these fake vegan meats have a place. If you're really missing the texture, or you're finding it that difficult to transition, then it's worth trying them. They are there as an option. When I was 18, one of my best friends at school was Indian and vegetarian, and I had the really good fortune of being taught to cook by her mother. And from then on, I've just always felt that you look to cultures that have that include a lot of vegetarian foods within them. And that's why I love Indian food so much. We like bold flavour, don't we, at Cilantro? We do. We grow peppers and herbs and all kinds of things. All right, this is really important. Like with any change, and this doesn't just apply to getting more vegetables into your diet, but if you mess up, don't beat yourself up. It's okay. Start again at the next meal. Please don't beat yourself up. Life is too short. You are wonderful. All right? Just a little slip up. Move on. And this is a bit like crowding out. If you've got 1 or 2 foods that you really, really feel that you can't give up, don't stress over it. Focus on everything else instead. And then revisit it. I've still not given up eggs. Can't give up eggs. I mean, I just can't, But I'm not going to not sleep because of that. I'll make every other effort that I can to get more vegetables into my diet as the day goes on.
Jane, I will say that I still eat eggs, but I buy the ones that are, they're free-range, pastured eggs. We're not talking about the ones from factory farms.
Right, and that's why I said, improve the quality of your animal protein. Definitely. You want eggs from happy hens.
Yeah, happy hens.
To make sure And I love this. Here's this woman with the perfect hair and the apple, and she's so happy. But she clearly can't do it because there she is sniffing a burger. That finally makes her look real, doesn't it? Yeah, come on, take a bite a day. All right. So, the first, any craving that you have, even if it's sugar, whatever it is, the first thing you do when you have a craving is you find a healthier version of it. Rule number 1. So hello, my name's Jane, I'm a sugar addict. When I got myself off sugar the first time, not realising that it's 4 times more addictive than cocaine, I actually had to spend 4 days in a darkened room because I had pounding headaches, I was walking into walls. I mean, it was horrible. And where was I going with this? God, I hate getting old.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake. Oh yeah, find a healthier version of it. So for me then, it was roasted vegetables, because root vegetables have a natural sweetness, and I would just make up a big tray of diced sweet potato, keep it in the fridge, and that really helped me. So that's just an example of how you can look for a healthier version of whatever it is you're craving. If you're missing meat, and it might not actually be meat itself, the texture, the whatever that you're missing, it could be the idea of the whole finished dish with the salty and the savoury. So again, we try and look for something that's a healthier version of that, and it might be that you get addicted to salted nuts for a little while. Anything that just helps you get over that craving.
Portobello mushrooms.
Oh yeah, and I was just checking, portobellos are here on my list. And it is portobello. I'm like Alice in Wonderland. Give me a rabbit hole and I will go down it. I think that's how I managed to write a book, but I really am. And so I got really obsessed with why I kept seeing portobello and portobella. So I actually looked up the official mushroom council or whatever because I have nothing better to do all day long, believe me. And it is portobello. They're trying to encourage everyone to use portobello. All right.
Aren't portobellos just regular mushrooms grown up?
They're grown-up criminis. So Angela wants me to wrap up. So we're going to do one quick thing. This is my leave behind for you ladies. It's from it's from my Forks Over Knives course. You can pass those around. I probably just gave you way too many then.
I'll put some at this.
Okay, thanks. It's the shopping list template that they gave us as part of the course. So I would like you all to have it, because as you look to make these transitions, and I've got enough for everyone. Let's take a bit of head count. I've got plenty. I've definitely got enough for everyone. So that's something that you can peruse. It's a good starting list. There might be things on there that you haven't heard of. When we get to question time, you can ask me. Angela wants me to wrap up. I was going to talk about dining out. Obviously, we don't have time, but I'm available for questions. And the next book that I'm writing is called Dine Out, Lose Weight. I trademarked it, so I'll have lots of information to share on that. In the meantime, please do come and see us at McKee Botanical Garden. Michael and I are there right now, Thursday through Sunday. In season, we're there Tuesday through Sunday. And I do have a sign-up sheet if anyone's interested in the healthy prepared meals that we do. I have a sign-up sheet for you to be added to our mailing list. We put out about 6 vegan dishes a week. We do keto, we do paleo, all for people who don't have time to shop, chop, and cook. So if you're not doing your batch cooking, you can come and get your meals from us. I thank you all, ladies, for your time. You've been very gracious.
Any last minute questions, you guys? Anyone any questions for Jane here? Last minute questions? Pick a couple.
I have a couple. The seaweed or whatever the snack, where do you find that?
Publix.
Good.